Today, we're diving into a truly fascinating coin, the 2001 cent coin, better known as the penny. But this isn't just any penny. We're going to uncover its history, its significance in the world of coin collecting, and why some of these pennies could be worth way more than you think. If you love coins, history, or just discovering hidden treasures in your pocket change, you're in the right place. That's right! The 2000 penny is a part of U.S. coinage history, and though it might seem like an ordinary coin, there's a lot more to it than meets the eye. So grab your magnifying glasses, and let's take a closer look at this iconic penny. First things first, let's talk about the history of the penny. The 1-cent coin was first introduced in the U.S. way back in 1793. But fast forward to 1909, and the famous Lincoln cent was born, designed by sculptor Victor David Brenner. Ever since, the image of Abraham Lincoln has graced the obverse, or front, of the penny. Now, in 1959, the reverse of the penny was updated to feature the Lincoln Memorial, symbolizing Lincoln's connection to the nation's history. That reverse design remained in place for decades, including in 2000. But what makes the 2000 penny particularly notable is the new millennium context in which it was minted. As the clock struck midnight and we entered the year 2000, the world celebrated the dawn of a new millennium. The U.S. Mint continued producing pennies in large numbers that year, and they were made under the same basic design that had been used for decades. But there were some small, yet important details about this coin that collectors would later recognize as significant. Now let's take a look at the mintage numbers for the 2000 penny. It was a busy year for the U.S. Mint, and the production figures are a reflection of that. A whopping 13.9 billion pennies were struck in 2000, with the majority coming from the Philadelphia and Denver mints. And like most years, there were also proof pennies made at the San Francisco Mint, which are much rarer and typically used for collectors. With a total of 13.9 billion pennies minted in 2000, it's easy to see that this coin was in heavy circulation. Most of these coins are still out there, floating around in our pockets, piggy banks, or maybe even your change jar. Alright, so we know the 2000 penny is quite common, but what about its uniqueness? Why should you care about it if you come across one in your spare change? Well, there are a few things that set the 2000 penny apart from other years. Let's start with the fact that in the year 2000, the U.S. Mint did not make any major design changes to the penny. It still features the classic Lincoln Memorial reverse designed by Frank Gasparo. But what makes this coin interesting is the era it represents. It's one of the last pennies to feature this design before the Union Shield reverse took over in 2010. Collectors of U.S. coins often find themselves searching for examples of the memorial pennies, especially in pristine condition. And just like with any other coin, the value of the 2000 penny can change dramatically depending on its condition, mint mark, and other special features. Now, we all know that a penny is worth 1 cent, but are all 2000 pennies worth just a penny? Not at all. While the majority of 2000 pennies are still worth their face value, certain varieties can command higher prices in the world of coin collecting. For example, some of the proof coins minted in 2000 at the San Francisco Mint can be worth much more than a standard penny. Proof coins are struck with extra care to ensure a crisp, flawless finish, and these coins are typically sold in proof sets, which are packaged collections of specially minted coins. Proof pennies can range in price from $2 to $10 or more, depending on the quality of the coin and whether it's part of a special set. They're a great option for collectors who are looking to add something more refined to their collection. Here's where it gets really exciting. As with many coins, the 2000 penny has some rare varieties and error coins *** that could be worth a lot more than you might think. One of the most sought-after varieties is the 2000 doubled die obverse penny. What does that mean? Well, during the minting process, the die used to strike the penny can sometimes get misaligned, causing the image of Abraham Lincoln to appear doubled or blurry. The 2000 doubled die is particularly noticeable on the date, and these coins can be worth hundreds of dollars, depending on the severity of the doubling. Another type of error to look for is the 2000 wide AM penny. In 1999, the US Mint made a slight change to the design of the reverse, adjusting the spacing between the letters A and M in America on the reverse. Most pennies from 2000 have a close AM, but if you find one with a wide AM, it could be worth a premium to collectors. Now, these varieties and errors are rare, but if you find one, you could be holding a real treasure in your hands. With over 13 billion 2000 pennies minted, you might be wondering, is it really worth holding on to these coins? Well, the answer depends on the condition and the specific varieties you come across. If you're simply holding on to a regular, circulated 2000 penny, it's worth just 1 cent. But if you find a proof coin, a double die error, or a wide AM variety, you might be able to sell it for much more. Sometimes, even small differences in the way a coin was minted can turn an ordinary penny into a highly sought-after item in the world of coin collecting. So, should you start collecting the 2000 penny? Absolutely! Even though most of these coins aren't worth more than a cent, the search for rare varieties and error coins can be a fun and rewarding experience for anyone interested in coin collecting. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting out, checking your change for those unique varieties and errors is a great way to learn about coins and maybe even discover a hidden gem. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 2000 penny, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more coin content, and let us know in the comments if you've ever found a rare or valuable penny in your pocket change. Thanks for watching, and until next time, happy collecting! The 1996 penny is a fascinating piece of US coinage. But before we get into its value today, let's first talk about the history of the 1-cent coin and what made 1996 a unique year in its story. The history of the penny goes all the way back to 1793. But in 1909, something important happened. The US Mint introduced the Lincoln cent to honor President Abraham Lincoln. Since then, the design of the penny has remained closely tied to his image, except for a few small updates over the years. From 1959 to 2008, the reverse of the penny featured the Lincoln Memorial, symbolizing the nation's respect for Lincoln's legacy. Now, in 1996, we still saw this same design, but what really sets it apart are some of the changes to the coin's production. In 1996, the US Mint continued to use the Lincoln Memorial reverse, designed by Frank Gasparo, but this was a year of transition for the penny as we neared the end of the Memorial design's run. By 2009, the reverse would change to commemorate the bicentennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Now you might be wondering, what's special about a 1996 penny? Well, not much changed about the design itself in 1996, but let's take a look at the technical side. During 1996, the US Mint produced an impressive number of pennies, but there were some interesting variations in terms of mint locations. The total mintage for the 1996 penny across all minting facilities was around 5.4 billion coins. Those numbers alone tell us that this coin was in heavy circulation, meaning you're likely to come across one of these regularly when searching through pocket change. These 5.4 billion coins were struck at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints. The most common varieties you'll find are the Philadelphia, no mint mark, and Denver, D mint mark, pennies. The San Francisco Mint did produce proof versions, which are a bit rarer and definitely worth paying attention to if you're a collector. Now, we all know that the penny is still in circulation, but you're probably wondering, is there any value to a 1996 penny today, beyond just being worth 1 cent? Well, the vast majority of the 1996 pennies out there are worth just their face value, 1 cent. But here's where things get interesting. There are certain factors that can make a 1996 penny much more valuable than you might expect. Like with any coin, there are certain special varieties or error coins that can be worth a lot more. If you're lucky enough to find a 1996 penny with some unique features, you could be holding a valuable piece of history. First up, let's talk about the 1996 double die obverse. This is a very rare error where the image on the obverse, the side with Abraham Lincoln, appears to be doubled. The doubling occurs during the striking process, and it's one of those coins that collectors absolutely crave. These coins can fetch hundreds of dollars, depending on their condition. Another variety that can make a 1996 penny more valuable is the presence of a well-defined full steps design on the Lincoln Memorial reverse. The term full steps refers to the fine details of the steps on the Lincoln Memorial. The better the quality of those steps, the more valuable the coin is. A 1996 penny with excellent full steps could be worth several dollars to the right buyer. While these errors and varieties are rare, they're not impossible to find, so it's always a good idea to take a closer look at the pennies you come across. You never know when you might find a hidden gem. As we look toward the future, many people are asking, will the penny continue to circulate? With rising production costs and debates about the penny's relevance in today's economy, some have argued that it's time to retire the 1-cent coin. But for now, the 1996 penny, along with all its predecessors, still holds a place in the hearts of collectors and the pockets of people all across the United States. If you happen to have a collection of 1996 pennies, especially if you've managed to get your hands on a rare variety or error coin, your investment could grow over time. As more and more people become aware of the potential value of these coins, their worth could rise, and you might be able to sell or trade them for a profit. So, to wrap up, the 1996 1-cent coin might seem like just another penny, but it has a rich history and the potential for big rewards for collectors. Whether it's the rarity of error coins, the importance of full-step details, or simply the number of pennies in circulation, there's always something new to discover in the world of coin collecting. Keep an eye out for those 1996 pennies. Who knows? You might be holding a valuable piece of U.S. history right in your hand. You enjoyed this deep dive into the 1996 penny. Make sure to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more fascinating coin facts and tips. And if you have any cool coin finds, let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, keep collecting. That's right. The 2004 penny might seem like an ordinary coin to most people, but there's more to this piece of currency than meets the eye. In this video, we'll explore the history behind the 2004 penny, its mintage and circulation, the different varieties to look out for, and of course, its value. Who knows, you might have one of these valuable pennies in your pocket right now. Let's start by looking at the history of the penny itself. The US 1-cent coin, also known as the penny, has been in circulation since 1793. It has gone through many changes over the years, but the most iconic design, the Lincoln cent, was introduced in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln, designed by artist Victor David Brenner. Since then, the penny has gone through several changes in terms of design, with the most significant being the reverse side, the back of the penny. From 1959 until 2008, the reverse featured the Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo, which is what you'll see on most pennies from the 20th century. Now we're focusing on the 2004 penny, which is part of the Lincoln Memorial series. In 2004, the U.S. Mint was still producing pennies with this familiar design. However, there was something new on the horizon, the 2009 bicentennial celebration of Lincoln's birth. In that year, the Mint issued 4 different reverse designs to commemorate Lincoln's life. But in 2004, the design was still the classic memorial, so let's break down what makes the 2004 penny unique. In 2004, the U.S. Mint produced a massive number of pennies, with the total mintage reaching 7.4 billion coins. That's right, 7.4 billion, making the 2004 penny one of the most widely circulated pennies of its era. Most of these coins came from the Denver Mint, which is where the D Mint mark comes from. The 2004 penny is one of the most common pennies you'll encounter, but just because it's common doesn't mean it's not worth your attention. The U.S. Mint also produced the 2004 penny at the Philadelphia Mint, but the Denver minting is more widespread. Since this coin is so common, you're likely to find a 2004 penny in your everyday change. However, some of these pennies may be worth more than their face value, depending on their condition and any special features they may have. Let's get into that next. So, what makes the 2004 penny stand out? As we mentioned, it still features the iconic Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, symbolizing President Abraham Lincoln's connection to the nation's history. But one thing that makes this penny notable is its role in the final years before the switch to the Union Shield reverse design, which started in 2010. Additionally, some collectors focus on the condition of the coin. Grade plays a huge role in the value of any coin, and the 2004 penny is no exception. The better the condition, the more it can potentially be worth. Coins that are in mint state, meaning they have no visible wear and tear, are highly sought after, especially when they're in perfect condition. Now, let's talk about the value of the 2004 penny. As we said before, most 2004 pennies you find in circulation are worth only 1 cent. After all, they are still in circulation, and the mint made billions of them. However, when you start getting into higher grade coin, or special varieties, that's when things start to get interesting. Coins that are in near perfect condition, graded as MS65 or higher, can be worth more than their face value. In fact, some 2004 pennies in pristine condition can fetch anywhere from 25 cents to $1, depending on their quality and demand among collectors. But that's not all. There's another factor that can dramatically increase the value of a 2004 penny, and that's error coins. Collectors pay a premium for coins that were minted with errors. So, if you're checking your 2004 pennies, be on the lookout for any unusual features, such as doubled dies or struck-through errors, which can occur during the minting process. Just like with other pennies, the 2004 penny is not immune to minting errors, and these can make a huge difference in its value. One of the most sought-after error varieties is the doubled die penny. This occurs when the die used to strike the coin shifts slightly during the minting process, causing parts of the coin to appear doubled. For the 2004 penny, look closely at the date and lettering, as double die errors on these parts of the coin are particularly common. A doubled die 2004 penny in good condition can be worth anywhere from $10 to $50, depending on how pronounced the doubling is. The more dramatic the error, the higher the potential value. Other errors to look for include off-center strikes, die cracks, or through errors. These can be harder to spot, but once you learn what to look for, you might just find a hidden treasure among your pennies. So, should you start holding on to 2004 pennies? Well, it really depends. If you find one in near-perfect condition, it's definitely worth holding on to and keeping in your collection. Even though the 2004 penny is very common, coins that are well-preserved or feature error varieties can appreciate in value over time. Collectors are always on the lookout for high-quality coins, and if you come across a 2004 penny that's in mint condition or has a rare error, you might just make a nice profit when the time is right. In conclusion, the 2004 penny may be common, but it's far from boring. With millions of these pennies still circulating and with the potential for error coins and high-grade specimens, it's worth keeping an eye out for this coin in your spare change. Whether you're a casual collector or a serious numismatist, the 2004 penny has something for everyone. Thanks for watching this deep dive into the 2004 penny. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for more coin-related content, and leave a comment down below if you've ever found a rare or valuable penny in your collection. We love hearing your stories. Until next time, happy collecting, and keep an eye on your change.